At 12, I started having hormonal migraine. Doctor prescribed Vicodin. If I didn't have the medicine, I wasn't going out. It was controlling me. My husband actually helped me to see it.
Helped you to see what?
Come off of the opioid
Okay.
pills. I'm getting Xanax. I'm getting like 90 to 180 a month.
So he got you to see that you were addicted to the pills?
Yep. I was one of those functioning addicts. After a while, you stop getting high. That's the most dangerous part. So I got back on the methadone because I relapsed. Brought my dad in right after I got clean. An alcoholic, recovering alcoholic, Tried to detox him in my home. Didn't work. I relapsed. Got back clean again. Now I am clean. However, now I have to get off of this.
Explain what this is.
Methadone take the craving away.
So for you, has it always just been pills or has it been more?
Pills to other substances.
Okay.
I never did crack. I loved cocaine. You know about addiction?
I was adopted at 2, right? My mother and father died from HIV, carrying needles.
I hate alcohol with my dad and everything I went
Of
through as
course.
a child.
Yeah. So do you think that played a part into like the whole addiction thing?
Absolutely.
So what part of that made you then get into, I guess, the drugs, right?
Yeah, I don't want to be like him, but I didn't think about it with the pills.
I commend you for waking up every day, going to take care of what you gotta take care of early. I'm gonna handle my business. I'm not gonna make no excuses. Okay, cool. And then you already thinking there has to be another way than this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna find it.
4:30.
Wow.
So they could be the first.
So they could be, yeah, what makes sense. So what, you just gotta go check in or?
Yeah, check in. Well, so it's medically assisted treatment.
Okay.
So it saved my life, However, now it's going to take me like a year to still. They don't tell you that part.
Right.
You just cannot stop taking this stuff.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I am trying to find a doctor so that I don't have to come in here, which I'm about to phase up where I won't have to come in here every day anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just, I was talking to that guy I was talking to that was sitting there when I pulled up.
Yep.
He has dosed almost all the way down off of it.
Okay.
And they will not move him. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
wild.
so, yeah, so it's just a whole thing. It's about the money. That's what it's about.
Of course. So let's talk. Let's
That's
talk.
crazy, huh?
Let's talk about the journey. So how did we get here?
Oh my gosh, we got here.
We got 23 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Give me the journey.
We got here. How did we get here? At 12, I started having hormonal migraines, right?
Okay.
My doctor prescribed Vicodin.
Okay.
My mom would only, when I was having a migraine, that's when she would give it to me.
Right.
We tried, preventative care is really big. Back then, it was just kind of like, we're talking, that would have been 80s, in the late 80s when that happened. When I was 12. So, but they had like, there's something called Maxthol, preventative. At the onset of a migraine, put this under your tongue, or, so he tried many, many, many things. So I get through high school, go to college, and and at that point I still didn't realize that I had a problem. I pledged to sorority, we're going out. I didn't understand though, why, okay, I gotta find a way to the doctor to get medicine because I'm hurting. Like, this is like true story. Hurting because of fibroid, endometriosis, fibroid tumors, like hurting, debilitating hurting.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize was that, like, okay, if I didn't have the medicine, Chris, I wasn't going out.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything. So had already progressed. I was already probably stage 2 of the addiction at that point because, it was controlling me.
Okay.
I did what I had to do. I did classes and my sorority meetings and everything, that I was involved in. But when it was left up to, okay, the things I wanted to do, like if I didn't have it, I did not know it. It didn't even hit me. Yeah. But then I get married. So I graduated in December 96 from my undergrad. Met my husband in 90, married in 98, 99, 98, something like that. Anyway, it wasn't until I got married that my husband actually helped me to see it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, he notices, we're with each other 24/7, so
Right.
he's noticing the pattern, right?
Right.
And that's when I was
So
like,
he helped you to see what?
yeah, I was like, what? Wow. So, what's interesting, at that time to come off of the opioid pain
Okay.
pills,
Okay.
so, you have to understand by this point, I'm getting lower tab 10s, I'm getting, Xanax. I'm getting like 90 to 180 a month.
So,
They're mine.
so he got you to see that you were addicted to the pills?
Yep.
Okay.
And then that's when we went to my doctor. The doctor actually used what I'm on now, methadone,
Okay.
to get me off of
The pills.
off of
The pills.
the pills.
Okay.
So that worked for a while, and then it just kind of, I wasn't doing meetings now.
Okay.
So I still was just like using them, right?
Yeah.
I was getting them. I would get a doctor to prescribe them. Uh, and so it wasn't like, how do I say? I was one of those functioning addicts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I still talk, Chris. I still went to school, like the whole nine.
Yeah.
He wasn't sleepy. After a while, you start getting high from it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the most dangerous part because yeah. Anywho, so let's see, fast forward, here I am. My youngest child, I was married once for 9 years and I was engaged for 10 years to my youngest child's father.
Okay.
And of course, he was my enabler. So I walked away, other things happened. I walked away from that relationship 6 years ago. We're still, we co-parent well,
Okay.
but it just was so much had occurred in the relationship. It just was a lot of damage,
Okay.
on his part, my part, all kinds of stuff. So, anyway, so I got back on the methadone because I relapsed.
Okay.
I went to rehab, did really well. Brought my dad in right after I got clean.
Yeah.
He's an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic, tried to detox him in my home. Didn't work. I relapsed. Got back clean again. Did well. Meeting, sponsored the whole, 12 steps, all that.
Yeah.
And so now I am clean, but it's medically assisted. I'm clean and sober, and I'm great. I really am. However, now I have to get off of this.
Okay.
So it's kind of like,
So explain what.
Tell you all of that.
Explain what this is.
It's methadone. So
Okay.
methadone is, it basically it takes the cravings of the whatever it is, heroin, whatever. It takes that craving away.
Okay.
But you just can't. Well, I'm going to go to a clinic. You have to spiritually, physically, mentally meet. You have to do it all.
Okay.
Period. That does not just work. So you have people coming there who are smoking weed, with methadone, that intense stuff. You know what I mean? They're doing stuff still,
Right.
and they're coming there. So,
So for you, has it always just been pills, or has it been more?
yeah, it went from pills to other substances.
Okay.
I never did crack,
Okay.
but anything up. Like how I loved cocaine, but that was nothing to come off.
Okay.
So, when you know about addiction at all? A little bit, you think now?
Well, a little bit. So I'll put it this way: I was adopted at 2, right? My mother and father died from HIV, from from sharing needles and all that. So it's always been my mindset of course, never touching drugs because of that.
Right.
But to say that I know, no. So that's why I'm asking these questions, right? Like, and if you're okay, I will like this to be a part of like one of my episodes for the podcast.
Yeah.
Only because the goal with this is just to inspire people, right?
Right.
So this is why, like, as you're telling your story, you can get as deep as you want to, or you can hold back as much as you want to.
Right.
But I want people to be able to see this and be like, yo, okay, all right, I know maybe not to go the medical way because I also don't want to be in that situation.
Right.
Because now it sounds like you're addicted to whatever they're trying to get you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't even feel like, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I really, like, the weekends I don't come here.
Okay.
So I'm literally, Chris, going through my day, and all of a sudden I'm like, why am I feeling fear? Why
Okay.
I forget to take it. So am I addicted to it? No, my
Okay.
body is.
Okay.
My mind absolutely not.
So you feel like you got to take it because they telling you got to take it.
Yeah, because I've not taken it before.
Yeah.
You get sicker than you do when you can't find pills or when you run out of your prescription of pills or you get so dope sick.
Yeah.
So a lot of addicts, that's why they keep doing it. They're not even getting high.
Yeah.
They just don't want to be
sick. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so other stuff doing from the pills to powder occasionally, only on like special occasion.
Okay.
And then I like stopped that completely.
Okay.
And then no problems at all. And then of course, uh, never did crack cocaine, never did heroin. I don't like being. So this is how I am sober, right?
Yeah.
I don't like being like slow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not me. Never had.
Yeah.
I hate alcohol.
Okay.
Of course, with my dad and everything I went through as a child.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So do you think do you think that played a part into like the whole addiction thing?
Absolutely.
So can we talk about that?
Absolutely.
Like what you may have seen that made you feel like because in my situation with me being adopted and me knowing the way I remember saying my father died when I was 6, right?
Wow.
At 5, I remember so my mom I got one memory of my mom. When I was 2, she called me, said she was leaving. She was never coming back, right? I remember crying, begging her to go with her. And at that point, of course, I understand why I couldn't go, right?
Right.
Being older now, she knew she couldn't take care of me, right?
Right.
So then seeing my father, very, very sick, bumps all over his body, laying, bed rest, right?
Right.
So saying that and knowing that, my mindset has always been, I'll never be that way, right? And I know I can't be that way if I touch the drugs, right?
That's right.
So in your situation, it sounds like, okay, cool. But my father was alcoholic. I've seen that. I've known that. So what part of that made you then get into, I guess, the drugs, right?
Yeah. So, it really, studies show that it lies dormant in your body, right? So, I watched my parents fight. I watched us struggle. I watched my dad leave my mom, right? Or excuse me, my mom divorced my dad. I'm a daddy's girl.
Okay.
And I told you my dad is with me. I'm his caregiver, or maybe I did tell you that.
I think you did the first thing, yeah.
Clean almost 4 years.
Okay. Congratulations, Pops.
However, it took because he left his addiction, alcoholic and smoking spice, synthetic marijuana.
Okay.
My dad is 71.
Okay.
So
it took him years.
3 years ago, yep, 3 years ago, he had been drinking, didn't have any money to get it that day, did the spice. That's all he remembers. He basically died. They had to resuscitate him.
Wow.
He was on life support 4 days. I went to Kentucky to get him pretty much set up in rehab because he was homeless, had nothing, everything was gone.
Okay.
Went there, saw him, and when I walked in his hospital room, they were like, "Don't come until after he gets out of ICU because, we're keeping him sedated." Da, 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 da. So once he got into a regular room, I traveled there to just kind of get him situated in a rehab facility, not drugs, but like a senior, like a facility, like what is it? A nursing home.
Okay, I got you.
Situation.
Okay.
But when I saw him, it was I just, oh gosh, I couldn't leave him there.
Okay.
I couldn't. It was bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so do I think that played a role? Yes. No, because I can remember, waiting on him to come home all night, sitting in my window, hoping that this car would, and then when he did, he would bring beer home.
Okay.
I would find it. I hated the smell of it. I would open it, pour it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like 8, 9 at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the drinking, like college, I never even went through that. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke, I guess that was my way of just I don't want to be like him, but I didn't think about it with the pills. Like it just
Did it
I don't
happen?
know, it's been pretty crazy.
Did it just happen type feel, or
I think it's
like when you started taking the pills, was it to numb something?
no, you know
Okay.
what? Really, actually, with the migraines, and I think some
Okay.
other ways to fight lodging went from the migraines to the female stuff, the endometriosis.
Yeah. Do you still deal with that?
No.
Okay. Okay.
So, like, I anything that could cause pain, I had a hysterectomy,
Okay.
so that took that away.
Okay.
It was pretty much like I'm so grateful I'm healthy.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was a crazy, crazy ride back. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. And my sister, uh, suffered from addiction.
Okay.
Well, she's in recovery now.
Okay.
So it definitely affected both of us, even though alcohol on my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
Like he's one of 16.
Wow.
Let's see, 9 boys, 7 girls.
One of 16.
One of 16 by
That
the
is
same mother and father.
that is great. Now, have you ever had conversation with your father on like his upbringing?
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
how was that?
His upbringing was he had a happy childhood.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there was not as much supervision.
Yeah.
He started drinking at like 12,
Okay.
13 with his older cousins, right?
Yeah.
And that's how he started.
Yeah.
Went to the military, was a star football player, and all of that,
Yeah.
right? But then what sent my dad back? So he's a minister, knows the word, had some church in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
He's blind now, and thankfully studied
Okay.
diligently when he had his eyesight.
Okay.
And glaucoma caused that.
Wow.
What caused that is him, because you can have glaucoma and not go blind.
Yeah.
But he was the bottle was more important than the other bottle was more important than the prescription bottles for his glaucoma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's how addiction gets you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So, he had a happy childhood, and his dad, though, my grandfather, I remember him vividly sitting on his front porch with a Budweiser. Like that kept my memory of it.
Oh, your grandfather?
Yeah,
Wow.
my dad's dad.
So he battled alcohol. He was an alcoholic too.
Yep.
Okay.
But kept the job. He was a
functioning. Okay.
My dad and his brothers, not so much.
Wow. Okay. Well, it tends to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No.
But yeah. So
I think you need to share your story more often. I feel like I picked up a lady, and she's actually one of the reasons why I got the dash cam. A couple months ago, long story short, she was going through some stuff. Was still going through some stuff. She lived with her ex-husband. They've been divorced since '04, but they still were living together like till this day. And he kind of like controls her and all that stuff, whatever. She's writing a book, but she couldn't finish writing a book based on through to whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And I basically told her she was being selfish. I was like, "You being selfish?" I said, "If you don't finish that book, you're selfish because your story's not for you; it's for somebody else, right?"
Right.
And understand. And as soon as I said that, she kind of got like teary eyed, and she's like, "By the time we finish the ride, she thanking me for the conversation, and she's going to finish the book and all that stuff, right?" I was mad I didn't have a dash cam at the time because her story can touch so many people, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is why I have it. I have it, of course, to keep me safe, but at the same time, this is before we anything.
Right.
I'm just like, yo, you have to tell your story. So she wrote a book about it, right? Like, so you just don't know who you might bless because some people can't get their story out. When I write music and I'm able to put my pain down to a song format and release it in the studio, then play it back and listen to it, somebody else might hear it. That might be their therapy.
True.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's like, if you start, once again, it's all about perception. Okay, cool. I've been through this. I know I'm not the only person that's going through this. Number one, I amend you. for waking up every day, going to take care of what you got to take care of early. Before everybody woke, before the day gets situated. I see all that. I'm paying attention, right? You already know I'm going to be in, I'm going to be out. I'm going to handle my business. I'm not going to make no excuses. Okay, cool. And then you already thinking there has to be another way than this. And I'm going to find it. Right? So if I find out a way that I can help you, then I'm going to say, hey, look, I think you should watch this person, check this person out. This might can help, right? But I think that's what it's about. Earlier, you're looking for a house. If I don't say nothing about it, you don't know that I might know somebody that might know somebody that might know somebody. So that's how you got to look at your story. Hey, telling your kids is amazing because now they're able to be like, all right, mom went through this. That was the same reason I was able to look at my parents like, I love them, but I'll never make that mistake, right? And I can't allow myself to get there because I already know there's no good outcome in that.
Right, that's right.
Like zero. There's no zero chance of something positive happening from that. I seen all the bad stuff that I needed to see or know, right? And this is before I was 10, before I was 8, you know what I'm saying? And still knowing that at my age now, right? So I think with that, it's all about, okay, cool. All right, Lord, you gave me this story. How can I now bless your people and tell your people about what I've gone through? That's it. The goal is just to, even if you just save a life, you might save somebody going to the clinic. You feel what I'm saying? You're all in there for, listen.
She called and she was like, you ready?
Yeah.
I was like,
Ready for what? Ready for what?
Yeah. She was the one, Kim. Was the one who introduced me to intravenous drug use. White girl.
Okay.
So I always loved needles. I love getting shots. I love getting pain shots. Like I remember this. I'm like, what? So she introduced me to that. I went to her funeral a year later. She overdosed. She overdosed twice.
On what she was trying to introduce?
Yeah. Which is Dilaudid. Yeah. And and I'm saying an addict is an addict is an addict, but like I had my rules, man. Did not share. No. You better have your own. But I knew it was bad when she didn't have a needle. And I had bought, and I was like, I only have one and, I'm not giving it to you. She's like, well, you can share it with me. So when you inject and you pull, there's blood all in the syringe, your blood. So I knew she was in trouble when she took that syringe with my blood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gets real out there. People will be thinking about that. But, I got covered me. So that was like 2 months. 2 months I used intravenously and it was the best high of my life. However, I knew that if I continued, and my fiance never knew. My mom never knew.
What?
I started wearing long sleeves and, And so when I went to rehab, it took me forever, even after I got out of rehab, to even look at my arms.
For real? Was that bad?
Mm-hmm. So I never relapsed on that though. I never went back on that, going back using a needle. I never relapsed. I'm so grateful. So I was completely delivered from that. But then the pills I relapsed on.
Which is crazy because,
but
that's what I'm saying. Like your story is your story. The fact that you're still here through it all, you get what I'm saying? Like I think
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
I know the best healer in the world.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
You better know.
I know the best healer in the world. I think now it's more like, all right, take some time, sit quietly with him, and it's like, all right, which way you want me to go? Like, and just like, really, so I don't know if you ever listened to, there's a guy's name is Miles Monroe. Go on YouTube, just type in Miles Monroe. It's MUNROE, right? And he talks about prayer, and he said, look, prayer is 10% talking to God, 90% listening. He said a lot of times we pray, we ask God for something, and we stop praying, we just walk away. Like imagine you ask me for something, and before I can respond, you walk away. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now, like even conversation like this, even he'll put you in the right places to meet the right people, right? But if you're not prepared to have that conversation or to meet that person, it was kind of like you were never there. Right. So now it's like, all right, if the goal was to really get off the medical stuff, all right, Lord, which way do you want me to go? So I can now get straight naturally. Right. And then now start telling people about you and about my process and about my journey that will save thousands of millions of lives. Right.